Today's game features a queen sacrifice that should not work, but it does. In 1956, a 13-year-old Bobby Fischer played a game that permanently changed how the chess world thought about initiative and material. This was not a flashy trick or desperate gamble. It was a deeply calculated decision. The game was later known as the game of the century, and it happened against a very strong opponent, Donald Byrne, one of the top American players at that time. As we go through this game, I'll pause at the key moments and ask you to calculate, not to guess, but to think like Fisher. Now let's see how this game actually builds up long before the sacrifice appears. So the game starts with Reti opening, and Donald played knight f3. Fischer replied with knight f6, c4, g6, knight c3, bishop g7, and striking the center d4. And here they are kind of in the King's Indian defense, castling, bishop f4, d5, and after queen b3, they are in a Grunfeld defense. We have so many games even after their game which reaches to the same position. And here Fischer played d takes c4, queen takes c4, and he simply played c6 because c6 was attacked twice. He played e4, just striking a center, and black replied knight bd7. After rook d1, knight b6, queen was in danger, and he just played queen c5. And from here, Fischer just developed his last minor piece, bishop g4, and here the fun started. Here, Donald played bishop g5. He was trying to put a pressure on the queen, and if the knight moves, there could be a fork on the e7. So that was the initial plan for him. But here, it was the first blunder of the game. So take your time and try to find the best move what Fischer played here. And in this position, Fischer played knight a4. Brilliant move. And the plan is this knight cannot be captured. Because if you try to capture this knight, the problem is knight takes e4, which forks bishop and the queen. So the counterplay idea is bishop takes e7, which attacks the queen, and bishop cannot be captured because queen is protecting the bishop. And here, Fischer should have played the brilliant move, which is rook e8, sacrificing a queen. And if he captures the queen, there's a knight takes c5, coming with a discovered check, bishop e2, and knight takes a4, where we got this position where Fischer is absolutely better. All the pieces are out. The knight is also attacking the b2 pawn, and the bishop is hanging at the same time. And Fischer will be having a good time playing this game. So that is why this knight cannot be captured. So in this position, Donald replied with queen a3, just moving the queen because queen was in danger. Knight takes c3, b takes c3, and here Fischer simply took the pawn on e4 and allowed his opponent to fork his queen and rook. Bishop takes e7, and bishop is protected with a queen. And here Fischer played very calm looking move, queen b6. He's saying you can take the rook if you like. Here he played bishop c4, just developing the piece so that he can castle as fast as he can. And here white is already worse, but the game is not technically over. So take your time and try to find the next best move which Fischer has played. And in this position, Fischer played knight takes c3, hanging his knight, hanging the rook, and going for the attack. And the problem is, this knight cannot be captured because if queen tries to capture the knight, Fischer will play rook ae8, and after castling, he'll take the bishop back. And in this position, he will have an extra pawn. His rooks are just getting doubled on e file. He's having the bishop pair, and Donald will be having a tough time defending this position. So that is why he didn't capture this knight. And here he played bishop c5, attacking his queen. This is your anchor movement. Pause the video here. Black to move. There's no force mate on the board. There's no obvious tactic. Would you even consider sacrificing the queen here? Take a moment and calculate. So this is the move that made this game immortal. And it works because every black piece is perfectly placed. And the move is he start with a check first, rook fe8, king f1, and here he sacrificed his queen and he played bishop e6. He is attacking this undefended bishop and he has hanged his queen. Donald didn't continue the game with the right way, and here he captured his queen. And here he collapsed on the spot. The idea is Fischer played bishop takes c4 with a check, king g1, and here Fischer has found a great idea that he has to remove his d4 pawn so that knight will be protected with the bishops. And here Fischer played a tactical idea which is known as windmill, and here he started with knight e2 check. King has only one option, king f1. He captured the pawn because bishop gives his check. King g1, knight e2 check, king f1, knight c3, come back here. And now, in this time, there's no pawn on d4, so this knight is protected by a bishop. And it's a check at the same time. So king has to go back on g1. And finally, he didn't capture the rook first. He played a takes b6, capturing the bishop, attacking on the queen. Queen go to b4, and he still didn't capture the rook. He can, but he did not. And here he played rook a4. And if you see his pieces, the knight is protected by a bishop, the knight is protecting the rook, and rook is protecting the bishop. He has sacrificed his queen, but his pieces are so well coordinated that he is just so better. And if you see the white's pieces, white is not able to use this rook, which is sitting on h1 and doing nothing. And the king is also not good because of that. And here, white continued the game, queen takes b6, and he played knight takes d1, just simply capturing the rook as well. Game continued with h3. He simply captured the a2 pawn, king h2, and he just captured this pawn as well, knight takes f2, and attacking the rook. And here, Donald offered him a rook trade, and Fischer happily traded the pieces because he knows he is the one who is pushing for win, not white. Donald give a check first on d8 first, bishop blocks, and then he captured the rook on e1. And here, Fischer started with bishop d5, knight f3, knight e4, and queen b8. Just attacking the pawn because white queen has no business to do here. And here, Fischer played b5. And if you see this position, each and every piece is protected. The pawn protecting the bishop, bishop protecting the pawn. This is also protected with the pawn, bishop protecting the knight and the rook at the same time. And this bishop is protected with the king. And pawns are also protected with each other. So each and every piece of black is just protected. And queen can't do anything about that. White's pieces are just useless here. So, but he still didn't resign the game. He keeps going for a few more moves. Here, he played h4. Maybe trying to play h5. Maybe he is able to enter Fischer's king and do something. But Fischer said not today. And Fischer himself played h5. And now there is nothing white pieces can do to come and do something about the black king. He played knight e5. Simply king g7. And simply saying that this bishop is about to get activated, and this is the last piece of Fischer. If this activated, fight is just already lost. It's not possible right now because of queen, but that's the idea. King g1, and he started with bishop c5 check. King f1 happened in the game, and here it just simply checkmate in 5, and Fischer started with knight g3 check. And if you see, king cannot go anywhere else. So king is left with only one option, which is king e1, and here we should give bishop b4 check. Again the same idea. King cannot go back. It's a check, and because of rook, everything is covered. King is has to go to d1, and here he played bishop b3 check. Again the same idea. King is having not so many options. King is one left with king c1, and here he used the knight e2. Again, king has to go on b1, and here he gives the check on c3. King has to go back on c1, and here rook c2 happened on the game, and here it just simply checkmate because each and every piece is doing a work. This game is remembered for a queen sacrifice, but the real lesson is deeper. Fischer didn't win because he was brave. He won because every piece was active, every move was calculated, and every tempo mattered. Material comebacks, initiative does not. If you enjoyed this kind of deep analysis with pause movement that actually test your thinking, consider subscribing to this channel. And let me know in the comments which pause position was the hardest for you. See you in the next one.